Hello, magical ones. Welcome, salve. Welcome to the Faerie Witch vlog, and we thank you for tuning in. It's the holiday season, and so today we're going to do another episode, which I hope you will enjoy, a little fairy kitchen witchery. So Misty has joined us today, and we're going to make something really good. You're going to love it. I'd be surprised if you didn't love it. And it's such a good recipe. It's fairly easy, and it's one of the things that my mother always made every Christmas or every Christmas morning. She'd usually make these, and they're kind of addictive. So we are gonna make some because I haven't made any yet for this Christmas season, so we're gonna do that. So I welcome you, and I'm going to set up, and we're gonna get started, and we'll see what we can make here. Okay, so Misty is going to join us again before the break or before the end of the video. And so today, like I say, we're going to make these wonderful goodies that, like I say, my mom always made them, usually in Christmas morning. Sometimes she'd make them the day before, and we'd have to reheat them in the oven in the morning, depending on when she thought she was going to get up and whatever. But I don't know where she got this recipe. I know she didn't create the recipe. I don't know where she got it. I honestly don't know. And I know there's been a couple of one Food Network chef that did this recipe that was very similar. I think she changed it a little bit, but it was very close. And I can't remember what she called it. But my mom has been making these all of my life, and I'm over 45. So that was a long time. And we never had Food Network back then, so I don't know where she got the recipe. So I'm just passing it on to you. And like I say, it's so good, you're going to love it. Now, if you're diabetic, you're not going to love it because it does have a lot of sugar. But you can make them with Splenda. And Splenda, as far as I know, my father was diabetic. He could eat Splenda and be okay. You still had to watch the blood sugar count, but he could do it. So check with your doctor first if you're diabetic. But you can make these with Splenda. Just substitute the sugar for Splenda. They're not quite as good, in my opinion, but they're still good. They're still good. You'll still like them. So I'm just telling you, so you have an option. Alright, so my mom always called them French muffin puffs. I don't know where she got the name. I don't know if she created it or what. Like I say, I call them fairy puffs. So that's what we're making today. Today are the fairy puffs. So let's sprinkle a little fairy dust and see what we can conjure up here today. And so what you're going to need is you're going to need a stick of butter, and you need to melt it. And I usually put it in the microwave for about 60 seconds. And you want to melt it down. So I'm going to get a little bowl. I'm going to grab a stick of butter. Go. Alright, one whole stick of butter. And you pull it out here of the wrapper. Now this is the one thing that I always looked forward to on Christmas, was these, because my mom didn't make them the rest of the year. She only did, and I don't know why, because it was a simple recipe, fairly simple recipe. But maybe because she wanted to keep it special for Christmas, it was something we look forward to. I don't know. Sometimes we wouldn't have them. Sometimes she'd make the cinnamon rolls, that come in the little roll package from the store. You break them open, and sometimes we do that for something different. But yeah, now I can make them, and I make them all the time. And I've got Matthew, he likes them now. So, so now I just make them whenever I want them. It's one of the few recipes I do hang on to and use. Okay, so I'm going to melt that for 30 seconds. Might be a little loud, so I'm going to go ahead and put it on pause. Okay, so it took 50 seconds, 50, to melt that whole stick. So while I was doing that, I grabbed a baking bowl. So I'm going to tilt the camera. There we go, as best I can. So you pour that in to the bowl. Get it all in there. Hang on to the bowl because you're going to need it. You're going to need another stick of butter later. So hang on to that. Okay, so the next thing we need is a half a cup. Nope. Wait a minute. Yes. Half a cup of granulated sugar. So I'm going to grab that. Okay, so we need half a cup. And I need my measuring cup, which is this one. And I've got a little bit of sugar in this bag still, so let's see how much I got to work with here. You will need more sugar at the end as well, so keep your sugar out, because you'll be using it again. Okay, not quite enough, so let me grab my container. Okay, so I'm going to grab my container, and I need to fill this cup a little bit more. Okay, so there's half a cup of granulated white sugar. Pour that in. Alright. Okay, the next thing we need is 1 egg. So, righty. And I just use one large egg. Crack this sucker open. Alright. Okay, next thing you need is, I need, okay, 1.5 cups of flour. So I've got my half cup here, and I need a 1 cup. So here's a 1 cup, and I just need to grab the flour. Alrighty, there we go. Okay, so I've got my flour patch here. Alright, so 1.5 cups of flour. So here is half. And here is 1. And just kind of level it off. You don't need to top it. You just need to level it. That's not quite enough. There we go. Okay. Alright, so 1.5 cups of flour. Now, next thing we need is 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder. So grab your baking powder. And I need my little measuring spoons. Okay, so it was 1.5, right? I think it was. I think it was. Let me check. 1.5 baking powder. Yes. Okay, and this is the 1 teaspoon. Yep. Okay. So here is. And you do want to level off the spoon. So there's 1. And then I need a 1/2 teaspoon. And I think it's this one. I know I've bitched about this before, but I really wish the manufacturers for these spoons would actually put the little measurements in color. I mean, it's great that they imprint them into the metal because these are metal ones, and it's great that they've imprinted them, really, stamped it in, but you can't read them. You have to get the light just right or use a magnifying glass to see the little tiny measurement way down there. See? I wish they put them in color. Okay. All right, so here's half a teaspoon. There we go. Okay, so the next thing is we need half a teaspoon of salt. So grab your salt. Let's grab this. Got a grabbing going on. It's a lot of grabbing going on. Okay, so half a teaspoon. And I think that's the same one. I can't always read it. Yes, okay. Half a teaspoon of salt. There we go. Salty, salty. Whee! Alright. Next thing is nutmeg. And we need, it is 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. Let me grab that too. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, I've got my nutmeg. And gotta open this sucker. Alright, I need a 1/4. A 1/4. Golly. I cannot read these things. There we go. Okay. Thought it was. I am going to the eye doctor, believe it or not. I have an appointment finally, so yeah, I need glasses, I think. Okay, 1/4 teaspoon nutmeg. In we go. Alright. Okie dokie. Next thing is you need half a cup of milk. So I've got my half cup still. Grab some milk. Alrighty, milky, milky. Just fill it to the top and pour it in. Okay. And I've made this recipe with non-fat milk, low-fat milk, and I think vitamin D milk. And every time it came out fine, so any one of those milks will work. So you've got a little choice there. Okay, so next thing we need to do is mix all these ingredients. Now generally I put them on the electric mixer. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'll go ahead and start it with the spoon just so you can see. And then if it doesn't blend well enough, I'll put it on the electric mixer. So. You just keep blending and stirring and get everything in there. And like I say, if I don't get the consistency I need, I'll have to put it on the electric mixer. But I might be able to get it myself. That's not bad. It's getting there. Oh, but my hand is giving out. Shoulder and hand trouble. It restricts you sometimes. Okay, excuse me. So I am going to go ahead and put it on the mixer, and then I'll be right back. So I'm going to probably put it on the mixer for like a minute to 2 minutes, and then I'll bring it back and we'll check the consistency. Okay, so I mixed it on the electric mixer for about a minute, and I put it like mid settings. Mine goes up to 12, so I put it on for 6 at the number 6 setting, and so it makes it this thick batter. There you go, and it's kind of a little bit of an off-white. It's hard to show on the camera, I'm sorry, but it's kind of an off-white, like a really pale beige color, and that's from the nutmeg. So you just keep mixing here, because I took it off the mixer. So, okay, we're almost there. Alrighty, so the next thing that you need is a muffin baking pan, and alright, while I hunt that down, you also need some non-stick spray, so I gotta grab that too. Let's see. Where are you? I'm hiding. Turn it all. Ugh. Bloody hell. Alright, we'll have to go with this one. And this much batter, by the way, usually makes about 12 of these fairy puffs. Now, if you make them smaller, you probably get 16. You could probably get 16 out of them. But that's if you make them small. Do I make them small? Yeah, I want to feel like I'm actually eating something. You want a little tidbit? Fine. Buy one of those little baby muffins, you know. And I do have a pan to make baby muffins, but do I like using that and making the baby muffins? Not usually, no. Okay, so I've got my pan. I've got my non-stick spray. Spray the sucker and make sure all inside the cup is full. All right. Now, let's say you want to avoid the non-stick spray, and let's say you don't want to have as much cinnamon and sugar on the muffin, on the fairy puff. If that is your choice, you can use a muffin pan, buy the little paper muffin and cupcake cups, and put the liners in it, and you can use those. That's fine. You can do that too. Do we do it that way? No, not usually. Now, if I was making them for somebody who didn't want all the sugar and everything, because I'm going to show you the final step, and you're going to, it's messy, but it's so good. But, some people don't want all of that. They'd only want it on the top. That's fine. You can do it either way. You can make one batch the way I'm going to show you, or you can make one batch with the muffin liners and do the change. So you've got a variation you can do. It's not a problem. It's just, this is how we do it. I don't use the muffin pan liners. We want the whole thing covered. So, yeah, I know. I need to back off my sugar. I know. I can hear all you health nuts going out there going, nah, you need to back off. You really should. And you're probably right. But it's the holiday season. I don't know what to look forward to, so darn it, I'm going to do it my way. Next time I'll be good. Yeah. All right. Okay, so The pan is sprayed. It's ready to go. I need to turn the oven on. So, yeah, no dirty jokes there, people. Don't even think about it. I'm going to. Never mind. I could tell that would go completely south if I keep going on that. Keep saying what I was going to say. And if Matthew were standing here, he probably would take it south. So no, I'm not going to go. So put the oven on at 350. Okay. All right. Mission accomplished. Now, next step. I need space, so I'm going to move this somewhere. Okay. Alrighty, here we go. This becomes some of the messy part. I'm going to take a little tablespoon, because I got my big mixing spoon here. And so what you want to do is just take a glob of the batter. See, it's pretty thick. And you're just going to scoop it into the pan. Or your liners, whichever one you're doing, whichever way you're doing it. So we're just going to scoop it out into the cups. Now here, let me change this a bit so you can see. Okay, so I'm just scooping it out. And like I say, because I'm making these, in a pretty generous size, I'm only going to get 12 out of this batter. Like I say, you make them smaller, you'll get more. But for me, it's just like, if you want more, just make more batter. Just do, get these in the oven and make it again. And just do more. There we go. Alrighty. Okay. Go. Now, I've got a little bit of batter left, so I'm going to go ahead and just add to a couple of the littler ones. I don't want to use another pan just for 3 little puffs. So let's just fill this up. There we go. Okay, so we've got everything in there. Alrighty, so that is pretty much how I've done it. Okay, so now they're ready to go in the oven. So I'm going to put them in, and I think they stay in there for 25 minutes. Let me guess. Let me check here. It is 20. Okay. All right. So put them in for 20 minutes and check them. And the way we're going to check them is we're going to use a fork, and you just kind of stick them in a little bit, just a little bit. If the batter is still stuck on the prongs, then they're not ready yet. But we'll check it. So 20 minutes, I'll pull these little guys out, and we'll see how it goes, right? We will see. Okay, so while they're still baking in there, I thought I'd just give you an idea of what you're going to need next. So the next stage, after they come out and they're cooled, and we still got some time yet, again, you're saving that butter bowl earlier. You're going to need another stick of butter, and you're going to need some cinnamon, ground cinnamon, and you need your granulated sugar again. Okay, so those are a couple things you might want to get out while we're waiting. Okay, alrighty, so I don't think I need that just yet. Don't think so. Maybe. Maybe. I'll hang on to it. Alright, so that's what we will need. Let me grab another butter. Butter. So you need another stick of butter. Okay. Alrighty, so we still got some time yet. And like I said, I gotta check them. I gotta check the fairy puffs. And then once they come out and they're cool, oh, you're gonna need another bowl. You need a second bowl. And that one is gonna be for the sugar and the cinnamon. So grab that. I guess I better do that too. Ready? Another bowl. Okay. All right. So great. So that's we're ready to go for the final stage. Something else too, like I forgot to mention, and I probably mentioned it in other videos before, so you've heard it again if you're a returning viewer, and you save the eggshells because you can use them as offerings to the fairies to your fairy garden during whatever during the month or year or whatever that you give them little treats, little offerings when you go out and talk to them. Like I say, I usually do that during like the full moon nights every month. So I try to do it on the first full moon night. Sometimes I don't make it. I might do it the next day. But I try to do it during those 2 or 3 nights when the moon is really bright, really out there, because that's the most powerful time. I'm actually going to do a full moon episode. I'm probably going to record that later today, actually, so it might be posted in another week or two. So check back if you're interested, but I'm going to do a bunch of moon spell, full moon stuff. But like I say, when I give an offering to the fairies, and I have already got that ready to go. You can use the eggshells, put water in it. They can hold little light, you know, uh, nothing really heavy, obviously, because they would break, but you could put little food snacks in. You could, fairies like things that sparkle. Food is always good, and water is good. They like that. Chocolate is good, but be careful again if you have pets that are out in your fairy garden area. Of course, they shouldn't be anyway because you don't want them disturbing the fairy garden, but I have one out here, and with the village cats, as I call them sometimes, our yard cat family, they have been taking to going into my fairy garden lately. I don't know why. And it's like, no. But they keep going in there doing stuff, and I have to keep going out and trying to fix the fairy garden, and it's I've done a video of it, so check my channel for, I think it was like recreating or cleaning up the long fairy garden. It was a long one. It's the one in front of the house. And it's a long flower bed that I converted into a fairy garden. And the cats lately have been going in there. So I can't put chocolate out because chocolate is not good for cats or dogs, not good for birds. So I no longer leave chocolate as one of my offerings. But you could if you don't have animals roaming around. And you're only leaving it out overnight, remember. Whatever offering you give the fairies, go out the next day and throw it away and discard it, because the fairies, even though your stuff might still be sitting there, remember the fairies usually don't actually take the physical item. You leave a strawberry, they're not going to take the strawberry, what they do is they take the energy and they take the nutrients from it, out of it somehow. I mean, they're magic. They can do what they want. So, they just take it out. So what they've left, even though the strawberry may still look fairly good, like you left it the day before, the night before, it doesn't mean that the nutrient is still there. They probably took it. They just didn't take the physical item. So throw it away. That way it keeps, from ants and bugs and attracting things. The birds might actually take it away. If it's something healthy, the wild birds, they might come over and take it. Now, the birds here, yeah, they have to be very careful because you never know when you're going to have a cat on your ass. So, and since we've got like 9 of them out there, yeah, we don't get to see our wild birds too much anymore. Plus, I can't afford to feed them, so, they don't really come around anymore. But when they do, sometimes they pay for that mistake. So, anyway, yeah, when you're going to leave offerings, you want to make sure that you leave something that's safe for the animals that might be in your yard or your own pets. You don't want to make your own pets sick or whatever. So you got to think of all that stuff. And if you do have a pet that, can get up and around, then maybe you want to do an indoor fairy garden where you could put the offerings out and then just throw them away next day. That's a lot easier. You're not out in the weather, that kind of thing. And you don't have to go outside, especially if it's really hot or really cold. It's up to you. So you can do an indoor one if you want to. Just set up an indoor garden and, make your little fairy ring. And you set the items on the outside of the ring. Never put it in the ring. Fairies don't like being disturbed. They're not going to want you to stick your hands or anything else in the fairy ring. That's how people get abducted. And yes, it happens. Does it happen to me? No. Has it happened to somebody I know? No. But check all the Irish and Scottish and English and folklore. I mean, you hear about fairy abductions a lot. And then usually it's because somebody or some animal wandered into the fairy ring and couldn't get out. So, yeah, just to be safe. So, the whole point of that little rant was just to remind you, use the eggshells. That's all I meant to say. Yeah. Sometimes I get going. Some of my dog training students from way back when, I mean, they had to hear everything too, but, once you get going, Anyway, so that was my point. You can reuse eggshells as your offerings. Okay. So let's see. How many more minutes have we got on this fella? Okay, 9 minutes and 56 seconds. So I will check them. I'm actually going to check them at the 15 mark because if you've had the oven preheated a long time, they may not need 20 minutes, although I didn't. I turned it on as soon as you guys saw me do it, so it hasn't been that long. So it might take the 20. I'm going to check them, but not yet. We're not quite there yet. Almost. 4 minutes. Alrighty, so then we'll check it. Like I say, though, these are so good. And if, like you say, if you do have to watch your sugar count or you're giving them to somebody who, is diabetic or has to watch their sugar count, I mean, obviously that's a big deal, You don't want to send somebody into a, hospital. So, I mean, yeah, but you can use Splenda. But again, check with your doctor first. Make sure your or their doctor says, yeah, you can have Splenda. But you can make these, and not every recipe have we tried in the past when we used Splenda. It didn't always work. Like I said, I had to adapt a lot of things for my father because he liked sweets, he liked bread, he liked a lot of stuff that pretty much the doctor said, no, you can't have. And yeah, my father was a hard-headed German, and I think he had a little Italian in him too. He said he thought he might have had some Italian descent, which might be why both of us like Italian food a lot and why I'm learning Italian now. That could be why. Plus, I like Italian art and everything. So, it's possible, but he might have had a little bit of Italian, a little bit of Irish in there somewhere, maybe. Of course, I'm very much for Ireland as well. Yay, Ireland! So, yeah, but I had to adjust because he would get upset, obviously. He didn't like being told you can't have it. I mean, who does, But he didn't like it. And so I had to adjust some of the things that he liked because he liked lemon bars. He didn't eat them all the time. He didn't eat them every week. But when he wanted one, he wanted one, and he liked these fairy puffs. He looked forward to having them every Christmas. So we had to adapt the recipe. So we'd make some with the Splenda, and he could still have some. And then we'd make some with the regular sugar for my mother and myself. You know, I mean, he could have one with the real sugar. We just had to watch it. We had to watch him. We had to watch how much. But I mean, as long as I kept an eye on him, and I did, I really had to. And the doctor even said to me at some point, he was like, are you guys just managing this with, because he wasn't on insulin, he wasn't doing the shots. They threatened it. The doctor threatened it and said, if you don't get it under control, we're going to have to put you on the needles. And my father's like, ugh. And I knew that wasn't going to work. I knew he wasn't going to do it. I'd have to do it. And I don't like doing that. I hate needles. I don't, ugh, no way. I practically pass out. So I'm like, no. So when the doctor said, no, he doesn't need the insulin, I was like, yeah. And he goes, well, are you guys just managing this with diet? And I said, yeah. I mean, I have to watch everything and cut everything in half. And, we've adapted stuff so you can have it. But yeah, he's like, well, good for you. He was amazed. But yeah, so this is one of the recipes that I've changed along with the lemon bars. The lemon bar one came out okay with Splenda, and so he could still have those and enjoy those. The chocolate chip cookie recipe, if you're interested in that, I have done an episode already on that recipe, so please check out that one on the channel here. I did try with the Splenda, and they didn't come out quite right. They didn't come out, I mean, they didn't even form right. The batter, it just didn't work with the Splenda for some reason. But Splenda was good, like I say, for this recipe, for the fairy puffs, and for the lemon bars. I don't think I've done a lemon bar episode on here. I may. If I haven't already, I'll have to look. But, yeah, so I adapted those, and it worked out fine. So just keep that in mind. You can adapt this, which makes it nice, because then you can make it for more people, Okay, let me check. I'm going off and off. Sorry, guys. I went off on a tangent again, so let me see. Okay, 5 minutes. Let me check it. Let me check them. Not bad. They look so cute. They look like little white snowballs. They will form that way. It will form that way. They get like really nice snowball domes. It's cute. Let's see. Not bad. Okay. Yeah, a clean fork. Cool. Okay, so they may not need 20 minutes. So what I'm going to do, it's only 4 more minutes. I'm going to watch them close. So I'm going to go ahead and put you guys on pause for a couple minutes. That way you don't have to listen to me rant. And then I'll keep an eye on them. And then probably when I come back, I'll have them out. So it's been 20 minutes, and I'm going to pull these little suckers out of here, and let's see how they look. Let me just get a little area to maneuver. Oops. There we go. Okay. Pretty good. Yeah. I'm going to lower this here so you can see it, hopefully. There you go. So you got these little domes. Whoops, this way. Yeah. Alright, and the edges of them are already kind of a little bit brown. I'm going to show you. I'm using a fork. You just kind of pull them up. So see? There we go. So it's brown on the bottom. And then you get the kind of that light tan on the top, a little domey. Yeah, cute. Alright, so the next stage is the gooey, messy part, but it tastes so good. So we're going to show you 2 ways to do this. And then I'm going to let him, let the little guys cool a couple minutes here while I get the butter ready. So I'm going to move him. Alright. And I need to move this. I've got a plate ready so that I can put them out so they cool. Whoops. Alright, so first thing first, you gotta melt your butter. So again, we got that stick of butter. Put another one in the microwave for another 50 seconds. Melt it down. And be very careful when you deal with the butter because it's going to be hot. Don't burn your fingers. There we go. Hopefully this won't be too loud, I hope. Let's see. I hope that's not too loud. I hope it's not bugging you guys. I'm just melting it down, and you want to make sure it doesn't bubble up and go over the top of your bowl. But usually it doesn't, so make sure, but you just gotta make sure you got a high-sided bowl. 20 seconds. Okay. 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Oop, he's a hot little guy. Use your pot holders. Okay. So I've melted it down. I can't show you without making too much of a mess. Alright. So we got that. Now, the second bowl is going to have the dry toppings. So move the butter over. And what we want is, grab your sugar again. Sugar, baby. Sugar. Or your Splenda. Okay, so I think it's yeah. Okay, so okay. Now the recipe says half a cup of granulated sugar. So half cup. There we go, half cup. And this is in the second bowl. There we go. Half cup sugar. Then it says to use 1/4. You would use 1 1/4 of ground cinnamon, and you can use any brand cinnamon you want. So we're going to do 1/4. And I think that's one. Like I say, you can't read the measurements on these things. Okay, so there's one. So 1 1/4 teaspoon of ground sugar. Then you're just going to use your fork or a spoon and you just blend it. And I'm going to tilt this and you're just blending it together and it will turn the sugar brown. That's okay, that's the cinnamon. And I'm just blending it to get it all together. Okay. Now, you want a little more cinnamon in it? Put more in it. If you don't, that's okay too. And depending on how generous you are with all of this, you may need another bowl of the cinnamon sugar blend, but just, whatever you want to do. Like I say, if you're doing it conservatively, then this will be enough. All right. So grab a plate. Here's your mixture. You want the butter first, the topping second. Okay, and then I need the muffins, or the puffs. So let's grab these out of the pan. Alrighty. So, first things first, wash your hands, disinfect your hands, or if you want to wear gloves, the throwaway gloves, that's fine. I did wash. But I'm gonna use my sanitizing wipes anyway. I did wash my hands, but I'm gonna go ahead and do this too, because I don't have any gloves right now. Okay, I'm dry. Alright, so this is the fun part, the messy part. And like I say, if you make this with your kids are going to love it. But it's going to be messy, so do the best you can to keep things contained and keep things clean. So first thing first, and these little guys are still warm, so be careful. And the butter, of course, is hot. Be careful. So first things first, if you want to do this conservatively, just dunk in the top. Let it drip out. And then you put it into the mixture. And you cover it. That's it. Okay? That's if you want to be conservative. That's if you don't want to have a lot of sugar, a lot of topping. Because that way the bottom is uncovered. Okay? Like I say, we don't do that this way here. So, I'm going to get my fairy puff. And we're going to dunk the whole sucker in the bottom. Woo, that's hot. Be careful. That's a hot one. And you just roll it around. Yes, Fairy, we hear you. Our kitty is definitely making noise. She's a talker. Okay, then I've dunked the top in the butter. And I'm going to roll it. And you just roll this little sucker in here until it's pretty much covered. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Yay! And it's covered. And you put them on a plate. And you just do that every time with each one. Oh, Fairy, these are not for you. They're named after you, but they're not for you. No, kitties can't have sugar. No, no. Okay, here we go. Alrighty, so then we're covered. You just cover them up. You just do that with each one. Dunk. Dunk. Drip. Roll. And you're in. Next one. Dunk, dunk, drip, roll. We know, Fairy, we know. You can't have them. Yeah, there we go. Okay, we just got a few more here. So dunk, dunk, drip, roll it. Roll the sucker. Whee! And you roll it. Okay. There we go. And another thing I like to do sometimes too when I make these is after I've rolled them in the cinnamon and the sugar, sometimes I like to add a little bit of either red or green edible sugar, you know, the colored sugar. That way you just put it on top so it makes it more festive for Christmas. Or if I was making them for Fairy Day, I might want to use pink or green. So you can do that too and just kind of top it a little bit. It doesn't change the flavor or the taste unless you overdo it. You know, if you really cover them up, then you might lose some of the cinnamon flavor. But otherwise, you can do that and have more color. So you can do that too. Alrighty. Almost there. A couple more. There we go. And I'm actually almost out of the sugar and cinnamon blend or topping. That does happen because sometimes if you're just a little generous, it will use that up. So again, like I say, you might have to make a second bowl and you need more butter. So again, this recipe takes a lot of butter and a lot of sugar. But it's so good. Just rolling them around. I'm going to have just enough. Just enough. That's good. One more. One little guy left. Last one. Yeah, make sure it's got all the butter on it. Okay, almost there. And remember too, like I say, we're doing a little, this, you know, every time you bake or cook, you are doing a form of, you know, fairy witchcraft, you know, fairy craft. So if you're making these, think about the intent, put the intention on them, you know. Put an intention on them that whoever eats them, whether it be for friends, family, or you're going to give them away to coworkers or whatever, you know, your book club, your art group, you know, think about, you know, who might be getting these and eating these, and you can add your intention to the ingredients, and as you're mixing, you know, pretend you're doing your witch cauldron, you know, and you're blending and you're making some wonderful things that you hope the person who eats them will enjoy them, will like them, they're going to be tasty, you know, it's going to make them happier for the day. So be sure to put in your fairy craft magic while you're baking, while you're doing this, because that way it enhances the treat, it enhances the food, and, you know, you're spreading some goodness. You're spreading some fairy cheer, you know. So, yeah. Alrighty, so I'm going to pause, wash up a little, and then I'll show you the final product. Alrighty, so I've cleaned up, and so here is our fairy puffs. Don't they look good? Yes, fairy, we know. Okay, so these are our fairy puffs. Oh my gosh, they're so good. Believe me, you're going to love them. You're going to be addicted. You're going to want them a lot. So write this recipe down. Check out this video. Check it out and keep doing it. Keep making them because you're going to love them. And I hope you like them. And I hope your family will love them and your friends will love them. And believe me, they're so good and they're addictive. So plan on making at least 1 or 2 batches every time you do it. Just a thought. So, again, you're doing some little fairy kitchen witchery here. Plus, the cinnamon is good for, they say that it's kind of a way to, whoever eats it kind of makes you a little more affectionate for a little while. I've heard that about cinnamon. Yeah, in my own testing, yeah, sometimes. But very magically, cinnamon is good for prosperity. It's good for good luck. It's kind of warming. So it's good. I often use cinnamon in my spells and my candle magic, my spell jars. It's a key ingredient, for prosperity, which I need. So, yeah, I use cinnamon a lot. So, but this time you're actually eating it, and it tastes so good. So you're actually kind of, you can do a spell that would, as you're eating, to bring happiness, bring prosperity and good luck to you, or to whoever eats one of them. So there you go. Use your fairy craft magic, and for a good cause, good purpose, as you make these. And I hope that you'll have a good time. Enjoy them. Thank you so much. You can store these, but let me say, you can store these in a Tupperware. You can put them in the refrigerator. They usually last anywhere from 5 to 7 days. Don't hold me to that, but usually, in my experience, all the years we've been making them, keep them in a canister. You can put them in a Ziploc bag. Put them in the fridge. If you put them in the refrigerator, they're better warm. They're better to eat warm because you get all that goodness. You can't eat them out of the fridge. Matthew will do that, and I'm like, just heat it up in the microwave. Yeah, that's fine. He doesn't mind it, but see, if you really want to get that warmth and you want to eat them the next day or whatever, you can put them in the oven at the 350 again for like 5 minutes. Don't overcook. Don't overbake because they'll turn into rocks. So you could put them in there and warm them up. I generally put them in the microwave for like 30 seconds and check them. If they're warm enough, take them out. If they're not, put them in again for another 30 seconds and just keep checking them until they get to the warmth you want. But that way you're not over baking them again, But the warm, you want the warmth really, and it does get that cinnamon going, it smells good, it smells the house up nice, but it softens it up again, so you can store them in the fridge, but warm them up, I would say. Warm them up again when you're ready to eat them, if you're not going to eat them right out of the oven, okay? Just suggestion. So, I think I said everything I needed. I hope I didn't forget anything. Hope. Anyway, happy holidays. You see, I went my kitty. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Faerie Christmas. Merry Christmas. And I thank you all so much for watching. Hope you enjoy the recipe. Hopefully you'll all enjoy your fairy puffs. And have a great holiday. Thank you so much for watching. Have a fairy day, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.